State's going to win the Big Ten, get to the playoffs over Ohio State. So, Terry, I don't know how long you can stay with us. Apparently, you got a beauty shop appointment or something you got to get to, but that's what Rick told me anyway. So, I don't know how long can you stay with us.
He's got to look fresh. Yeah. We're getting together tonight. He's got to look fresh. Yeah, I'm going to actually do the same thing this morning after the show.
Yeah, I've got to run and get a haircut. I'm actually leaving for Mexico tomorrow morning, so I'm only going to get to watch the first half of the game with Mr. Riggin tonight. Hopefully I can leave with my head held high.
Well, we hope so, and I hope you enjoy your Are you making a drug run down there, Terry? Are you making a drug run down there, Terry, or what? What's going on in Mexico?
Man, I'm just going on vacation. If there was a drug run involved, I definitely wouldn't just put it out there on the air like that. The feds are everywhere these days.
Well, we know one place they're not, and that's at the border. So we'll save that for another conversation another time, but neither here nor there. Well, Terry, we appreciate you jumping on with us. Rick and I are going to talk a little bit more college football before he goes to the beauty shop as well and bails early on the show today. But college football weekend, Michigan, Notre Dame. Any thoughts, Terry?
No, guys, thanks for having me on. Look forward to a great weekend of college football.
Definitely, man.
I'm calling 21-17 Michigan.
Oh, hey, we'll find out, Terry. Hey, it's good talking to you on the show here. I'll talk to you throughout the day, and I'll see you later on there, TB.
Yes, sir. I got a fantasy football draft at 3:30. I'll meet you right after that.
All right, man. See ya.
See you guys. Have a good day. Go Blue.
Thanks, Terry.
Good stuff. Terry Beard, man.
Terry, the Wolverine fan. Why did I, for some reason, I thought he was a Florida State guy. I don't know why. Maybe we had another guy on. We had a guy on one time that was a big Florida State guy, didn't we? Oh, well. That's neither here nor there.
Probably.
I digress. Well, it is always good to help
along over the years, it's hard to keep track a lot of times.
Yeah. So it is healthy to have these rivalries. Certainly one of the biggest ones here in the Big Ten lies between Ohio State and Michigan, and also lies between Indiana and Purdue. I would say those are two of the biggest inside the Big Ten. Let's talk a little bit about that rivalry, Ohio State and Michigan. We'll get into some of these other games of today, but as we talked about over on Breaking Rank, Ohio State's got a little bit of distractions, and I wish we had Buckeye Adam on with us today because according to the Columbus newspaper, the police reports are now starting to sift out, and a lot of the things that Adam's talking about regarding the wide receiver Coach Smith, who got in all the trouble for domestic violence. Apparently, a lot of that was kind of covered up. Did you see any of that information that was dumped this week about Ohio State?
I've seen a little bit about that. I haven't seen anything the past couple of days, not since Breaking Rank. I've only just heard about a little bit of that. But it was awesome having Adam on Wednesday night because he is like the uber over-the-top Ohio State fan, and he did exactly what I was hoping like he would do, is just agree with everything Urban Meyer and agree everything, whatever the thing is to keep your head coach from being fired, like Urban Meyer. That's he was exactly that way, just a crazy over the top Ohio State fan.
Well, that's always good. Got to have that. That's for sure. Talk about over the top fans. Alabama meets Louisville today. Certainly, we don't know who the starting quarterback for Alabama is going to be yet. And one would think that that when that announcement is made or when they take the field, that will be the starting quarterback for Alabama. But as we know, they very much have a quarterback controversy. No matter what Coach Saban says, they have a quarterback controversy. And certainly I think that it's in their cards to beat Louisville. But all eyes are on Louisville and Alabama today.
Yeah, well, Tua Tagovailoa is their starter. And Jalen Hurts is all, he's got all the game experience. He's a great runner, but Tua can get out of the pocket. Tua is a much better passer, and we're basing all this off of the last two quarters of the Alabama season last year that Tua played in. Had made 2 or 3 good throws, made a couple of mistakes, but he's really electric, and he is going to be their starter. Nick Saban does not want Jalen Hurts to leave because that's the way it's going to be. So he's going to find a way to play them both and try to make them both happy. And to me, that is going to make their offense less successful because we've seen over the years, and it happened at Notre Dame with Malik Zaire and Deshaun Kaiser, two like really good NFL style talented. They're talented enough to be in the NFL. Kaiser is in the NFL actually. But when you have two guys like that and you try to give them both first-team reps, it takes reps away from the other guy and vice versa. So that system never really works. Alabama is good enough to overcome that, but they're going to struggle offensively. But Tua Tagovailoa is going to be the starter.
Well, we'll see how that plays out. Certainly, college football really got underway on Thursday. Purdue suffered a loss to Northwestern. Also, yesterday we had UCF over Connecticut. Ass stomping 56-17. Michigan State, as we talked about earlier, Rick, did not play to potential. Certainly, they beat Utah State, but it was close. Stanford, as we're going to have our eyes on them out in the West this year, certainly through breaking rank and stuff. Easily handle San Diego State. Wisconsin, obviously, over Kentucky, 34-3. Let's talk a little bit about today's game. Southern U and TCU at 11 o'clock. Florida Atlantic at Oklahoma at 11 o'clock. So Oregon State, no Urban Meyer on the sidelines for that game as he begins his 3-game suspension. And I think what a lot of people are going to be watching is this, of course, you got Texas and Maryland, but I think a lot of people are going to be watching this Clemson-Furman game, one, just because it's Clemson as well. So the morning games, just kind of run through those real quickly there. Anything stand out that you're going to keep your eyes on during these games today, Rick?
No, there's nothing that's going to stand out. That these games you just mentioned, obviously everybody's going to be looking to see how Ohio State looks without Urban Meyer, but I think they're going to beat Oregon State by about 30 points. They're going to have no problems next week. But the game against TCU is actually the one to watch for here in 3 weeks. So Ohio State, no problems out without Urban Meyer today, and there's nothing really to look out for in these games you just mentioned.
Well, yeah, I think, like you said, a lot of people are going to be looking at the Oregon State game. How's Ohio State look without Urban Meyer? And, of course, the conversations have already begun about Urban Meyer. This is his final year at Ohio State, that he will find another place to go. And we talked a lot of rumor mills about that, and certainly we talked a little bit about Lane Kiffin, and we'll get into the LSU game as well, but there's a very good possibility that LSU will fire their coach just after 2 years, and they'll also maybe take a look at Lane Kiffin. This could very well be a very good year for Lane Kiffin, so we'll see what happens. Also, obviously, our Indiana Hoosiers tonight against FIU. Again, I'll make the bold prediction right here, right now, and then we'll come back and replay this. I expect IU to be in another bowl game and certainly expect them to win the Big Ten East. What are your thoughts there?
Hey, so well, let me circle back real quick, because in that group of games where I said there's nothing to look forward to, and there's all these other games that are in Ohio State and Urban Meyer, you actually did bring up FAU and Oklahoma in that group of games. That is actually a game everybody should be looking at, because Oklahoma, I think right now, is like a 2.5, 3 touchdown favorite in that game. I do not think it's going to go that way at all. Lane Kiffin knows how to call an offense. Lane Kiffin knows how to dial up 40, 50 points a game. And Oklahoma, it's every Big 12 team. They have no idea how to play defense. I think Florida Atlantic and Oklahoma is going to be a high-scoring but close game, and that is a game to look out for. I'm sorry, Tom, you mentioned all these games, and I forgot you brought up that one. But that is really a great game today that everyone should be keeping an eye on. Florida Atlantic. Yeah. I'm going to take the upset here. I'm just going to be bold, make my bold prediction. You can play the breaking news music if you want, because that's actually pretty funny. But I'm going to say FAU beats Oklahoma today.
Stand by. We'll we'll design a segment in progress of that and our bold predictions, and we'll make that the intro. But I am definitely on the Lane Kiffin train. I think this is a great proving year for him. I think it's time that bigger schools will start giving him a look, and we'll see how things go with him. Although I know a lot of people think that he's had a chance 3 different times and failed miserably, but I think there'll be schools that'll step up and give him yet another chance. Let's take a look at these afternoon games. Penn State, which I mentioned earlier, I think is going to have, even though they're missing their stud, Saquon Barkley, which I'm watching over there in the Giants, and Saquon, we'll just say Barkley. On one of my fantasy leagues, I hope I can pick him up because he's certainly going to be a fantasy stud.
You have been tongue-tied on him for almost a year, talking about all last college football season. Saquon Broccoli. You would always put the R in the wrong
Broccoli. Oh, well. But they're not going to have any broccoli with them anymore. So against Appalachian State, I think that's going to be a good one. Again, Tennessee against West Virginia. Ranked West Virginia is in the top 20. We talked about Washington on Wednesday. Washington, Auburn, that's a big matchup for both schools, and we'll see what happens. Especially a lot of people say that this is the one game where game one can make a big difference. So that's going to be one that everybody's got their eyes on. As Georgia and Austin Peay, UNLV and USC, which is the only school in Southern California, Boise State, Troy, Michigan State, SFA. Those are, we're getting into the evening games, but I know we've got the evening games to get to as well. But as we talked about on Breaking Rank, Washington and Auburn, that's the game to watch this afternoon, Rick.
Right, and also you brought up an intriguing game in that group there. It's Tennessee and West Virginia. I know we don't think much of Tennessee after what Butch Jones has done there in the past 2 or 3 seasons, but now they bring in Jeremy Pruitt, who was former defensive coordinator at Alabama, and I think Tennessee is going to be a pretty good defensive team. They have a ton of talent on that team. I don't know how quickly it's going to be for Jeremy Pruitt to turn that talent into wins at Tennessee. But I think that Tennessee-West Virginia game today is very intriguing because we're going to see a Heisman candidate, Will Grier, go against a real defense and a real SEC team right out of the gate. So we're going to see what kind of impact he has this year for West Virginia, because I think West Virginia and Oklahoma are going to be playing for the Big 12 championship this year, Big 12 crown. So, but we're going to see Will Grier, and we're going to see the changes Tennessee has made right off the bat.
Well, absolutely. Well, let's get into these evening games because this is where the big matchups are. We know what you're going to be watching. We talked about it earlier, broke it down earlier, Michigan and Notre Dame. We've got Bowling Green in Oregon, Louisville and Bama, and another big game to watch is Miami and LSU. Again, there's the Lane Kiffin watch there. And Virginia Tech going to be a good game against Florida State. Let's see how Florida State handles their first game without Jimbo Fisher. What say you on tonight's game? I know we've already talked about Notre Dame and Michigan. We got a little bit more to talk about Alabama and Louisville, but I certainly think that most other eyes are going to be on the Miami LSU game and the Virginia Tech Florida State game, Rick.
Right, and 917-889-8516 listening live. You want to weigh in on some college football with us for the next half hour or so. So give us a call and give us your predictions for all these games. That'd be good to hear from you guys too. So, but definitely, I'm really looking forward to Willie Taggart getting his start at Florida State, the Willie Taggart era, and he's going to go against a pretty good defensive team, a really good team. I like what Fuentes has done at Virginia Tech after Beamer has left. Virginia Tech's a really good team, and Florida State is. We're going to see what they can salvage from last season, losing Jimbo Fisher. They lost DeAndre Francois last season to injury, but now he's their starter again this year. Yeah, he's actually a pretty athletic, pretty good quarterback. They have a ton of talent too. We're going to see how Willie Taggart can unlock that offense and get them rolling, get them going in the right direction after just a really bad season last year. So that's a really intriguing matchup to watch. We talked about Alabama and Louisville. I don't see any problems there. This is a Lamar Jackson-less Louisville team that Alabama's going to go against. I would have paid a whole lot of money to watch Lamar Jackson play against Alabama this year, but that's not going to be the case. But Louisville does bring in a brand new quarterback, best name in college football, named Puma Pass. So that
Puma.
He's Puma Pass. Big quarterback, about 6'5", 6'6", pocket pass